I hope you're well and doing well in these difficult times, sitting at home like all we do and we have to do, because this virus is really serious. Actually, I was thinking these days and thinking why this is happening. I actually personally don't believe that this virus is man-made, but I think we had a role that this virus spread in this unprecedented way because of globalization, because the way of our life, the consuming, the cruise ships, the Black Friday, I think all this paved the way to this virus to spread as it is spreading now. And this is a good time, opportunity for us to think and to stop the way we were living before in benefit of ourselves and the future of our children. In the first video, I talked about Iranian Revolution, how it started. And now I want to talk about how the fundamentalist Shia clergy took over this movement and revolution, and they made Iran and many other countries in the region the way which is now. All these wars in Syria, in Yemen, in Iraq, in Afghanistan are backed by the Iranian regime, as we know. In the first picture, it shows how majority of Iranians were in favor of Khomeini. Khomeini arrived to Iran from exile with an Air France flight. So it shows how that he was backed really by not only by Iranian people, but also by Europeans, Americans, because what he was telling before arriving to Iran was about talking of democracy and how people will free and the clergy will not have role in the politics. But the moment he arrived to Iran, the first place he went directly from the airport was to the Tehran cemetery. He made his speech in a cemetery. I remember my father, peace upon his soul, he told us, look son, this guy is gonna destroy this country. He's gonna kill scores of people, because his first speech he made was in cemetery, not in a public place. The mistake of also the opposition, the left parties, was that they believed in his lies, what he was telling before arriving in Iran. But the moment he arrived in Iran, he talked about what he was thinking. He said this will be an Islamic Republic, and in Islamic Republic everybody should believe, and the one who don't believe should die. That is what exactly he told. In the second picture, in this picture, you see Ahmad Khomeini, Khomeini's sons, who is announcing the victory of Iranian Revolution. The first thing they did, they started to execute the heads of army, tens of generals, and the members of the secret police of Shah called Savak. Hundreds of them. Every day they were executing hundreds of these people. And this picture shows one of the so-called revolutionary courts, which would take like 5 minutes before shooting the person or killing him. Of course, slowly they start to take power. You can see in this picture how the Mullahs, the clergy, is carrying gun and marching in front of Khomeini's house in northern Tehran. With taking more power, they started to put like new laws obliging women to wear hijab, saying that this is Islamic law, which in fact it is not. There is no mention in Quran or any other place that women should be covered. But they imposed this law of putting veil on women as a Islamic law. This photo shows the supporters of Khomeini, or Hezbollahis as we call them, or they call themselves, demonstrating in favor of hijab. The opposition or non-Muslim parties also backed Khomeini, participated in empowering him, which now they regret. Here you see the march of the Fedayin Khalq, who were a Marxist-Leninist group in the streets. When the pressure of the government became higher on the opposition parties, they also started to react. In this photo you see, which I took in Tabriz, people are tearing off the Khomeini's pictures. Then the militia, the pro-government militia or Hezbollah, started to attack demonstrators. In this photo, you see a guy with a knife stabbing an opposition member who is sitting on the ground. And actually, in this photo almost cost my life, because I was taking photo from a roof of a building, and they saw me. They saw me and they came and arrested me, they beat me, and then they took me to a detention center. But miraculously, I escaped from that detention center. Then they started the mass executions in the street. This photo shows tens of people being hanged in a street in Tehran, and we don't know who they were. They were not even next day in the newspapers. They would say we executed 50 people, 100 people, without even saying who they were. Then they started to arrest people, especially this prison in Tehran called Evin. They had thousands and thousands of opposition members who were arrested, and thousands of them were executed in this prison. Not only Tehran, but all over Iran. There are no exact numbers, but we think there were more than 100,000 people executed in these years. In this photo, you see inside the prison, Evin prison, a group of women, of opposition women, girls, mainly young girls, who were gathered there, and miraculously I was able to get in there and take a picture, despite being forbidden to go out of home with my cameras. The last picture is also one of the most horrible pictures I think you can see. This is the cemetery where the executed opposition members were buried, and the pro-regime people, Hezbollahis, they came and broke the stone tombs and not allowing their families to visit even their tombs.